It is not a shortage.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
So, Mark and I had rather late notice for the meeting on Monday.
Oh, yes.
He did try and reach out to you.
Yeah.
So, but that was not, it was not intentional.
Oh, yeah, he called me.
Yeah.
I didn't yell at him. I didn't yell at him.
Not this
Did you get my message, Kirsten?
No,
We didn't get no message?
I saw there was a call there was a missed call from the Easton number. I was like, I think that's Southeastern. There was no voicemail.
No. We did not intentionally overlook.
Yeah, you know how Brockton is.
Well, I called Mark and I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure that Brockton's having their finance meeting. This week, can you call and find out what day you're supposed to go? And he calls me
Right.
back. He's like, it's tonight.
Yeah, I remember your email saying it was coming up. Yeah.
Like, it's tonight. Can you go?
Oh, I saw your
All
friend.
right, 1 minute.
So
I didn't
Yes.
know she was going to be
Let me
co-president.
double check.
That's beautiful.
we're doing it just the way you like it, on paper.
Say what?
Everything's on paper.
Yeah. Oh. No. Well, I can only work off the paper.
Jerson's like, wah, wah,
Yeah, I can't. I like to mark things up. I'm old. I mean,
Killing trees.
I like to mark things up.
Yes, we are at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the Tuesday, June 24th, 2025 Southeastern Regional School Committee meeting to order. Welcome. Guests can follow votes using the link to Southeastern School Committee page or watch live on our Facebook page. We're also recording this meeting. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's stand for a moment of silence, please. You may be seated. All right. We have a jam-packed agenda tonight, but I think we can be efficient and get through it in a decent amount of time. So we'll start with audiences and communications. First up is communications.
The school committee will see you have a thank you note for the scholarship that you awarded.
And then next up, do you want to introduce?
I would very much like to introduce. So I'd love to introduce our ELA teacher, Sarah Mulcahy, who had an amazing experience this year as part of the Fulbright Teachers for Global Classroom project. And so she's here to present on her project and the travels that she undertook, and I'll let her go from there. So let me bring up your thing, and then I should be able to. All right, you can just tell me when you want me to advance?
Okay. All right, so I applied to Fulbright's Teachers for Global Classrooms program. This is a program I heard about from Steve Kelly, a history teacher here, who previously participated in this back in 2012 and went to Ukraine. I am an avid traveler. I love to travel. I've been to over 15 countries. So when I talked to Steve about this program, I was really interested because it's about making your classroom more global and bringing you abroad to share what you know about teaching with another country and have some collaboration. So I got accepted to this program in August of last year, and there's 4 components to the program actually. So there's the Global Education online course, which went from September to December. Then there was a Global Education Symposium in Washington, D.C. that I went to in February with Christina. Then there was the International Field Experience, which I did in April in Senegal. And then there was the Capstone project, which I'm developing now. I'm pretty much done with it. So the first part was the Global Education online course. This was a very rigorous 10-week course, multiple assignments every week. We met as a whole cohort. There was 80 teachers. We met on Zoom almost every week to talk about different themes like climate change, media literacy, things like that. We had a whole textbook that we read, and various assignments and tasks we needed to do in our classrooms. So global education defined. A global education is one that incorporates learning about cultures, geographies, history, and current issues of all the world's regions, and emphasizes interconnectedness and diversity of peoples and histories. Something that I'm really passionate about. I'm the world literature teacher, well, one of the few, but I really championed creating the world literature class a few years ago. I think it's really important, especially in the diverse school that we offer students, to learn about other places. And this course just gave me so many good resources to make my class even more global. So why global education? More than ever, people, cultures, and nations are interdependent, requiring young people who are capable to solve problems on a global scale and participate effectively in a global economic and civic environment. Students need to become globally competent individuals to prepare them for their future. A lot of the things we talked about in our course was that we live in a global world. We are a global society. It's not just about America. It's about bringing in perspectives from other places because we have jobs where we interact with other people. And a lot of the studies showed that after COVID, it showed just how interconnected we all are. So any teacher can, in any content area, can build global competence through the global competent framework. So this was the framework that really drove our studies. We had to make a unit plan that incorporated all four of these things. And the four components to global education are investigating the world, so investigating the world beyond your immediate environment, recognizing perspectives, students recognize perspectives and others. So it makes students recognize what they believe is important, but what others believe and others' values are also important too. Communicating ideas. Students communicate ideas effectively with diverse audiences, and they need to take action. They need to translate their ideas to appropriate action outside the classroom, which is probably the more challenging aspect of it because we talk about things in class, but sometimes we don't always put it into practice. So that was a challenge for me when I was taking this class. And then teachers can also use the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to help with this. So this is something I had never heard about prior to the class. It's something the United Nations developed, I believe, in 2015, and it's all these different goals to make a better world. So a lot of our units within the course tie into different aspects of this, like climate change, reduced inequalities. And there are ways for any teacher, no matter your content area, to bring these SDGs into your class. And we learn a lot about the different ways to do that. So how this influenced my practice. It introduced me to amazing resources such as Project Zero's Thinking Routines. That's by the Harvard Graduate School of Education. It's an amazing resource for probably over 50 different thinking routines where you can just engage in conversation. You can make it as quick or as long of an activity as you want, and I use this all the time in my class now. There's also a website called Radio Garden where you can tune into different radio stations all over the world. Students really love that. If we were doing a different unit in a different country, I had them pick radio stations in that country and they would listen to it, maybe even find radio stations from the country they were from. And then a website called Unequal Seeds, which shows photographs of different countries in the world where there's huge economic disparities. So they might go to South Africa and they might show one of the townships right next to a really fancy golf course just to show how different things can be. And I use that website with my students and they have amazing conversations about one part of that city might not have access to water, the roads aren't as good, and I was really impressed with the complex conversations they had about it. And inspired the creation of a newcomer guide. I believe Holly shared this earlier in the year. All four of my world literature courses collaborated to do a different part of the guide to introduce newcomer students who are unfamiliar with the country, with the language, with the school to Southeastern. And I was really, really proud of what they were able to develop. I was a little scared of how enthusiastic they would be, but they did an amazing job. It provided me with strategies and resources on teaching media literacy. It challenged me to make professional connections and collaborate. I collaborated at one point with a teacher from Maryland, and we had our students communicate on Padlet together, and that was a really great experience for them. And the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals shape the honors world literature scope and sequence, so I'll be teaching that next year. And the way I framed that class was I was tying each major unit to one of those sustainable development goals, like gender equality or reduced inequalities or strong institutions. So it really has influenced me a lot. So once we were done with this really intense class, we all went to Washington, D.C. together. We got to meet our cohorts. We go to the next slide for some of the things. So at D.C. we met our travel cohort. We learned about the expectations for our international field experience. We met alumni of the program, people who had traveled to the host countries we went to. We attended professional learning sessions with our administrators and received guidance on our global education guide and guidance question. So we go, at the end of this, we had to make a capstone project that has different aspects of what we learned. So it's called Teach, Learn, Travel. I can show you it at the end. They just gave us guidance on how to develop that and develop our guiding question. So our guiding question is supposed to shape what we're looking for in our international field experience. What are we going to be asking students about? What are we going to be asking teachers about? So mine was inspired because I work at a vocational school, but the last day, Christine and I, and actually another teacher from Massachusetts and her principal, we went to the zoo to see pandas because we're really excited about that. The other principal said, I wonder, in Senegal, do they do field trips? Do they have experiential learning? And I thought, well, that would be great to tie into my question because I work at a school where experiential learning happens every day. So my guiding question was, how are experiential and hands-on learning opportunities integrated into Senegalese education, and what impact do they have on student engagement? So from February to April, we were getting ready for our field experience. It was a bit of a roller coaster. We did not know if the trip was going to happen because of pauses in funding for the State Department. One of the trips did get canceled to Morocco. We ended up absorbing some of the people from that cohort, and with 2 weeks to go, we had the confirmation we could actually go, which I'm so happy we were able to go. So this is Senegal, and our Senegal field experience is broken up into 3 different parts. So we had an arrival and welcome to Dakar, we had a host community visit, and we had a debrief in Dakar. So there were 21 teachers that went all together, and we all started in the capital city of Senegal, Dakar, and then we broke up into probably 7 or 8 different host communities for a majority of the trip, and then we all came back together at the end. So in Dakar, we spent 3 days learning about Senegal from our in-cultural consultants, Ousmane Ba, who works for the Peace Corps, and Mohamedou Diouf. We attended sessions on the foundations of Senegalese education, family, food, and dining in Senegal. We learned about the history and culture in Senegal and preparing for community visits. So these were really informative. A little stressful at times. When we learned about food and dining in Senegal, I learned it is considered gross to eat with your left hand. They find that offensive, and I'm a lefty. So I was really, really nervous that I was going to offend the Senegalese people, but our sessions really calmed us down. We had some cool cultural visits where we went to the United States Embassy, and we visited the African Renaissance Monument, which is actually the tallest monument on the African continent. It was a beautiful monument. There's a lot of art inside the bodies there, just celebrating Black culture around the world and the influence Africa has had on the world. And in the coordinator, that's Mohamedou. He is also a Fulbright recipient. He spent a lot of time in the United States, and he's an English teacher in Senegal, and is just the absolute man. So I just have to give Mohamedou a shout out because he was wonderful. Then we had our community visits. I was in Gymnasio, which is not how it's spelled. Mohamedou gave me about like a 10-minute lecture on how to pronounce it because it was very difficult. And I was at Ousmane So Gymnasio High School. And these are just pictures from the school. My host teacher was Sophie Diouf. She was absolutely wonderful. That smile you see she had every day on her face. She participated in Fulbright's International Leaders in Education program in 2012, where she studied in Huntsville, Alabama. She's an English as a foreign language teacher and is very involved in her community in education. She is the secretary of the English Teachers Association of Senegal, so she is a great representation of our country. So Ousmane So High School at a glance. It's a middle high school in the village of Gymnasio. So Gymnasio is meant to be the new capital of Senegal. They're building it as a futuristic city, but there's 2 different sides to it. There's the city side and there's the village side. I was in the village side, as you can see. Not a lot of infrastructure there. There's no paved roads to get to the school, no electricity in the schools, but the school is absolutely amazing. All students walk to school. We would take our car in, and we just see the bright pink and blue polos they all wore, where hundreds of kids are walking to school and waving to us. About 2,000 students in total at the school. Instruction is in French. Most people in Senegal speak Wolof, but Senegal is a colony of the French, so instruction, things in the government, that occurs all in French. There's a lot of extracurriculars there, so don't let the lack of infrastructure fool you. Students are very involved in the community. They, like a lot of schools in Senegal, have English clubs, and there's English days around the country that are sponsored by the U.S. and British embassies where students celebrate English, and they have English competitions, and if you watch one of them, they're really powerful. They have a gymnastics club, they have engineering clubs, they have French clubs, they have art clubs, and it was really amazing, all the stuff they have there. So what I did there, the day we got there, we weren't too far from Dakar, so we got there at like 10 a.m. and they brought us into a department cell meeting, which was a 3-hour English meeting with all the English teachers in the area. It was really interesting to see. They kind of talked about some of the same issues, like ChatGPT, still happening in their schools. So then after that, we were brought to this huge room where we sat on the floor and shared a meal Senegalese style. I was able to successfully eat with my right hand, so I was happy about that. Students already knew who we were. Everywhere I was walking, I was there for 3 hours, like, Sarah, Sarah, Sarah. Everyone wanted to take a picture with me. I was just arrived on campus, but I was already a celebrity. And then they had a welcoming ceremony, which was one of the most special things I've ever participated in my life. They organized this 2-hour ceremony in our honor where they made a song for us, they danced, they had the gymnastic clubs perform. It was just one of the coolest things I've ever experienced, and the entire community came out for it. It was just amazing. And then the other days we were in school, we would observe and assist with lessons. I taught the students heads up to encourage speaking English. So when we went to the U.S. Embassy, they said students are receiving instruction in English. They only have 4 hours a week, but when they go home, they're not speaking English, so they really wanted us to get them to practice their English. So the heads up game, you can play on your phone. I don't know if you've seen that. I brought a little whiteboard, and we practiced with English that way. I was really impressed. Like, I did music, and some kids did Michael Jackson, and I did television. One kid said, "Do you see broadcasting on it?" So it was really impressive, some of the vocabulary they had. We would also do songs, like I taught them the Hokey Pokey and Macarena. They really liked that. I had students write stories about Massachusetts with the word picture splash. We collaborated with staff and shared strategies, shared pictures, postcards, and candy from America. So I had all my students write postcards. And on the postcard, I attached a QR code to a Padlet so they could scan it on their phones, those who had phones, and then see pictures of my students, and they really enjoyed that. And I took about 1,000 selfies. Every day they wanted to take pictures with me. They gave me bracelets every day. They would just make bracelets, and I would have arms full of them. They were just so amazing and welcoming, and I was very sad to leave them. So those are just some pictures, some of the hundreds of pictures I have. See their beautiful faces and smiles in fashion. On Fridays, it's their holy day, so school ends early, but all the girls and boys dress their best for Moss, and the fashion is absolutely unreal. So I was asking them all to take pictures. One of the coolest things I saw there was Beautification Day. On my last day at Easton, students participated in a beautification day. Students stayed after school ended. It was an early release to clean and beautify the campus. There was no adult supervision. Teachers were there, but they weren't in class with them. Students were fully self-directed. Groups of 10 to 17-year-olds repainted and created murals. So they were picking up trash. They were picking things off the floor. They were scrubbing down the chalkboards, and then they were creating these amazing works of art. Murals reflected art, science, environment, and language. The students decided what they wanted to do with it. They showed strong ownership, collaboration, creativity. They were so proud to share their work, so they were very secretive with their friends because different groups were in charge of different rooms. But when the teacher I was with and I were walking around, they were like, "Come in and see what you're doing." It was so amazing, just the pride that they had in what they were creating. And then the Saturday, we had unfortunately left by then, they had a ceremony that featured performance on climate change. They had recycled fashion, and they decided the winning classroom. So if you go to the next, all the classrooms were amazing. This is the one that won the competition. Yeah, so these are more murals around. They actually won the national competition, so schools around Senegal participated in this, and I just found out a few weeks ago the school won, so I was very happy for that because I think it was well deserved. So my key takeaways: students have immense pride in their school and community. Their school is everything. It is a gathering place. Their families come, and it's just home to them. They would be hanging out there after school, and it just was such a good feeling to see that. They took pride in who they were. They all hang out on the weekends. I had heard from a couple of the students and my host teacher last week. They all organized a picnic at the local zoo for their last day of school. Hundreds of kids showed up, and the students are organizing these things on their own, and that's just really special to see. We talked a lot about a group afterward. A lot of students we met in Senegal are just intrinsically motivated. They want to do well. They were so eager to practice their English. They don't have Chromebooks. They all have notebooks and folders, but they're taking notes, and there's 80 of them in a class, and there's 3 of them sitting in a 2-bench seat. They don't have the resources we do, but they're able to create beautiful works of art and really challenge themselves in ways that I didn't realize were possible without all the bells and whistles we have. So teachers can achieve so much. These students are only receiving 4 hours of English a week, but it's amazing what they're able to do. We kind of realized after a cohort, we all came together, that sometimes it's okay to go back to basics. I'm very much someone who always wants to try new things, but I think sometimes it is okay to take a step back and do some old school things, because there's a good balance of both. So then we came back together in Dakar, and we had a little bit of a debrief, all 21 of us, just to talk about the experience. We shared moments of reflection, growth, and insights, and discuss ways to build on our field experience. As in, like, how are we going to keep up with this global momentum? Are we going to be able to continue building upon the relations we started in Senegal? And then we had a cultural visit to Gorée Island. That is the home to the House of Slaves. So this was one of the places of the slave trade, which that was a very poignant day. And we saw the door of no return, which you can see there. Barack Obama's visited George Bush, the Jackson 5, and that was a really somber occasion, but I felt like it was important to do while we were there to honor history. So then when I reflect on my guiding questions, I do a 2-page write-up, but this was kind of summarize my overall conclusion. But I reflected on how this experience could impact my own practice. 2 words come to mind: performance and ownership. Students excelled when there was performance aspects to their learning, whether presenting in front of their class or performing for the entire community. These performance-based activities created authentic learning experiences in a real-world context. In addition to being performative, the highest levels of engagement I observed were in student-led activities. Students at this high school had no problem taking an initiative and showcasing their knowledge through art, song, or poetry. Witnessing this has inspired me to bring more opportunities for student performance and ownership in my own classroom as I continue to grow as an educator. So a few years ago, I participated in a deeper learning initiative with Katie, where we worked with Kaleidoscope, and it talked about deeper learning and how it's important to have a real audience and real world issues. And a lot of what I saw in Senegal reminded me of that, having an audience, having these authentic learning opportunities for students. So part 4, returning home to the capstone project. So when I returned, students were kept up to date with my travels via my blog, so I had to create a daily blog, which was sometimes challenging because I didn't get back to my hotel till 10 p.m. at night. My wonderful co-teacher, Nicole Conroy, made sure to keep my students up to date with my blog every day. Students were interested. I didn't know if they'd be falling asleep, but she actually said they asked questions and were actually very excited. When I got back, the first day I got back, I made learning stations. So I brought in candy. I brought in all the jewelry students gave me. I wore a Senegalese outfit. I had different pictures. And I had students go around to different learning stations and answer questions on Padlet. I made them sit on the floor when trying candy, because in Senegal, you eat on the floor. I had a little tablecloth from Senegal. well, and they loved it. It was with seniors, they were almost graduating, but the enthusiasm I saw like made me feel really good, like, oh, I did do something important and good. I also had students make friendship bracelets that I will be mailing to Senegal, so they all gave me friendship bracelets, so I brought in some I'm going to be mailing the next couple weeks. I even had students that brought me in some like pens and pencils to donate to them, so that was really nice of them too. The last thing I had to make was a global education guide, so it is linked in there. So this is the capstone. This is kind of all my learning together. I won't go through all of it right now, but there are different parts to it. So there is, this is kind of just talking about what it's about. And then on the side you'll see that there's learn, so like what is global education, what are different tools, how can you learn more about it. And the goal for this guide is to be able to share with other teachers or anyone who's interested in global education. There is the travel, which includes my blog and the guiding question and reflection. And then there's teach, so I compile a bunch of teaching resources. I define sample lesson plans across all different content areas, so I have things for science in there, I have things for math, just to show teachers how easy it is to incorporate global education in your classroom. And I do think students will benefit from it when they have this global perspective. So that is it. I know it's kind of a long presentation, but it was a very involved program that I'm so thankful I got to be a part of. And that Southeastern allowed me to take some time to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Well, thank you so much for sharing your trip with us. Thank you. All right. Moving on to announcements and conferences, conventions, and meetings.
You see, it's a little bit quieter than the last time on the calendar. But we do have the TI graduation at 6 o'clock next Monday. And the dates for the school committee retreat date has been set in stone.
Terrific. All right, next up, do we have any news articles? No. Okay. So I'll move on to number 4, which is,
There's also a November meeting.
The November meeting?
the November, I think it's an old,
Because it's on.
yeah, is it, did I miss it?
It's in the conferences.
Oh, please.
Oh, I didn't see it. Yep, yes. Okay, so, well, yes, I actually read it and I missed it. So, our November school committee meeting is scheduled for November 11th, 2025, which is the second Tuesday of the month. However, November 11th is Veterans Day.
Right.
So, we're going to need to discuss an alternate date for the November school committee meeting. I didn't know if you had any suggestions, Holly.
We could do the 4th or the 18th. Obviously, the week of, let's see, the week of the 25th, probably not good for folks.
No.
It does say here that the 4th is the first Tuesday in November. There could be local elections, but
Yes.
Would you just move it to the Monday or the Wednesday? Whether it be the 10th or the, or is that be, I know in November it's school calendar gets a little crazy too, so.
I mean, it's really at the will of the committee. I don't see any conflict on the 18th, and except for the fact that it's election day on the 4th. That's fine.
Does anybody have a preference, 4th or 18th?
Sure don't. I can't do the 18th, but I mean, if I miss it, I miss it. You know what I mean? It's just
Sure.
the National Honor Society induction in Canton. Put it on the calendar already. See, I did a good job.
The 18th I'll probably be in Northern Maine again,
We
so.
inducted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then, it sounds like maybe the 4th would be better?
So, that, you said the 4th is election day,
Goes
right?
election day, yeah.
For those of us who vote after,
Yeah, I
you
feel
know,
like
we
the
leave
18th is
work,
probably have
it
to
kind
be
of precludes us from being able to vote that day, if we're coming here for a meeting.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Yeah, but it's only in certain communities because towns' elections were in the spring.
Okay, there's no statewide ballot, there's nothing with a statewide ballot.
Wait, there would be a state,
There's a state-
there would be a state representative race, yeah.
No, it's an odd number year.
No, it'd be it's 2025, right, next year, 2026, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's none of you are up for
Right,
election this
right.
year. It would be local town
Yeah, it would
issues.
be Brockton. I think they're the only ones
Yeah,
who have an
Brockton's done
election.
election.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me if we have it on the 18th and I miss it. I just also felt like I should. Maybe
Well, we need to have a motion and a vote, so if anybody wants to throw out a date with a motion, that'd be great.
the 18th.
Who first did it?
I first did the 18th.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, ayes have it. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. All right. And it's nice because we have all 10 here today. So next up is the consent agenda, and we can do it as a batch. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. So I'll entertain a motion for that.
Branch, that's your job.
Well, I'm just trying to figure it out, what I want to do. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented from A to L.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? If not, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. 10-0. Thank you very much. I do want to acknowledge the donation of 100 chef's jackets from Mac Wholesale of East Bridgewater for the culinary program. We got some SDS Max drill bits, conduit, and wireway troughs from Dave Rossman of Foxborough for the electrical program. And I think those are the major donations, so thank you very much. I did want to make one quick correction on L for surplus facilities. It is included in the June 24th, 2025 school committee package. I think we all figured that out, not the 2015.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to our financial reports and our treasurer's cash report.
So the treasurer's not here this evening. Do you want?
I can present it, and if you have any
Sure.
further questions, we always
Okay.
ask here.
Okay.
So we've presented both the April and May treasury reports. I'll go to the May because it's the most current one. They'll capture both of
May.
those.
Okay, I'll bring that one up. Okay.
So you'll see there that our summary of our financial position, again, we're in good shape going forward. We're at 14,834,088 at the end of the month in May. Our budget to actual revenue, all the assessments have come in through March, April, May, and June, where the last quarters come in. Looks like we have just a handful of towns in the city that have not made their assessment payment, but we'll be getting those any day now for the end of June. Our Chapter 70s come in, and we only have the last months there. The gross pay summary goes through the pay of May 31st for the month of May. Nothing out of the ordinary there. As well as our cash reconciliation report. We have $3.18 that is outstanding being, well, actually $2.18 being recognized. It's probably due to interest is really what that is, but and the rest is all reconciled. So I'll answer any questions that you have that I can, and if not, we can always push those off to Karen in the next treasury report.
Any questions for Mark? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move to accept the treasurer's cash reports.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? If not, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. 10-0. Thank you. Next up is the Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Administration's report. And Mark again.
Our appropriated budget, if you go to the end, at this point, we have $1.2 million to finish off the school year. So we're in good shape. We have we have purchase orders that are coming in and invoices coming in, so that will be taken care of. So we will meet the net school spending for the year. But again, we're in good shape going into the end of the year with our appropriated budget. Our revolving accounts, you can see that they're all in place. We have a couple, so again, the Technical Institute, looks like that one says negative 372, but the TI is made up of multiple accounts. So if you take those in a total, in a whole, we're actually in the black in the Technical Institute. But that just breaks it up by department, by different category. All our revolving accounts are in good shape going into the end of the year. And we still have revenue coming in through, even through today, but over the next couple months.
All right.
And there are also some offsets that I have to clean up.
Oh, offset. Hang on just a second.
Yep.
Got distracted.
Those are the offsets for the end of June up until just 2 days ago. I put those in. So those total, I don't know if you go to the bottom, $499,048, and that's just a shift between accounts. So you can see a lot of it through our budget to actual. Things cost more than we expected throughout the year, with a lot of inflation and things of that nature, and then also some needs that were different throughout the year for different programs. But those are all there explained, and the offsets are there. So I'll need a vote on that.
Right. So any questions for Mark before we go into the vote? All right.
Move to approve the transfer of funds as detailed in the June 2025 budget offset sheet, including in the June 2025 school committee package.
All right. Any further discussion? Now let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Let's have it 10-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the ratification of our payroll warrants. We can do it in a batch D through H.
Move to approve the ratification of the warrants as presented on the agenda from D to H.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Now let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. And one recusal, that's right. So it's 9-0 and one recusal. Thank you. All right, 6, old business and the FY26 budget.
So we have an approved budget. That's really all the news there is.
That's it.
And we're waiting for the final budget to come out from the
Excellent.
state.
And the votes were unanimous.
The
Every
votes were
county in the
unanimous,
city.
yeah. So no issues or concerns.
Excellent. We had a typo in B, so we're not going to be covering that. That's not an issue right now. So we're going to go to new business, which is number 7, and vote for debt.
Oh.
Is that what I had next? I have old business.
Whoa, hold on. Yep, I'm moving too fast.
Yeah, there
Hold
is
on
a
second.
C.
There is a C,
C and a C.
and it's not on my table, which is why I missed it. Let's do that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we're looking at the STI student handbook second reading.
The high school first.
Wow. Okay, so it's B.
Use the high schools.
Yep.
I took out one item that
And then it,
was accidentally in there, left over phone and copied
and
and
it
pasted.
threw,
Okay.
and it threw off the.
Oh, it threw off the numbering. Okay. All right. Yep. Let's do that. Thank you so much, Barbara. So let's do B.
Yeah.
2025-2026, second reading of the high school student handbook.
So this is the second reading. Some of this is just updating some parental consent and things that needed to be there. But the heart of it is really the AI policy that we talked about the last time, that we want to have at least as a placeholder while we work on developing a more comprehensive AI policy with students, with teachers, with the school committee. So we haven't made any changes to this since the last meeting.
Okay.
You want to take a minute to look at that?
We also discussed having some of our students take a look at this policy as well and provide feedback.
Yeah. I know that Shanna had started that work of talking with students about the changes to the handbook. Toolkits, this is just updating the language around that students need to keep their vocational tools in their vocational program during non-instructional time and during the academic week. For example, our students have access to screwdrivers and knives and things, and just being more clear, because this came up last year that there was a lack of clarity with the policy.
Right.
That those things remain in shop, or if they're your own tools, they remain at home during academic week. So this was just to clarify that so that students had a better understanding.
We took out that professional, wasn't there a word in there, they should professionally? Yeah, we took all that out. I mean, I'm sorry, my eyeglasses are trying.
Yeah. Now let me see, I can make it.
No. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we did. Okay.
All right. And the cell phone policy.
I'm excited for this.
Now, I know there's a
Sure.
bill out that they're trying to get passed before the school year, banning devices.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only feedback I got from the incoming principal about the policy, because I had him look over it as well to sort of get his feedback. And he just said in his experience it was very hard for them to enforce the restriction on like smartwatches, that it was just, that was more difficult, so he asked that we just be thoughtful about that as we move forward. But the cell phones themselves are easy to see, headphones, earbuds are easier to see, but sometimes it can be more difficult to see a watch or whatever. Or kids use watches as watches. And what does that look like? So that was the only piece of feedback that he gave about how strict we want to be around that piece, but otherwise it's fairly consistent with policy that he has in his existing school and that's being enacted in most schools.
Is watches there?
It says devices,
Electronic devices.
So it just says electronic devices.
Well,
But then we say cell phones.
No, there is,
I don't know that
if you scroll up a little bit.
hang on, I don't know that this is the right policy.
Oh.
and there is a line in there somewhere.
Yeah,
where
that
it's
says
where
watches,
it's-
smart
Where
watches.
it's encompassing.
Smartwatches.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you scroll down in blue,
Including
Yeah.
assembly.
it says
Hang
right
on.
here, Wi-Fi enabled
Yeah,
devices.
I know, but
Yeah.
I gotta make sure that
Yeah,
this
there is a line that says anything that's based on Wi-Fi.
This is not-
It's something that, like, listen, an electronic
Gotcha.
device is an electronic device.
What's in there?
I just want to see it.
That's not the right.
That's not the one. Okay. All right.
No,
So no second reading on that.
no.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to
I
move.
apologize. I
No,
have to-
no need.
No
No need.
worries.
But I want to make sure that you have the actual policy in front of you, and we can.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask a question just
Mhm.
as a newbie? When things are different colors, like,
No.
So
What
this
is-
is
like,
not,
what's the
this is not the
differentiator?
policy that was
but like on
supposed to
any
get-
of these things we
So
look at?
typically, when we have different colors, we use red strikeout as things that exist that are being deleted, and blue is something new.
Okay.
It's
So
added.
what would regular
but-
red be?
This is not the policy that is supposed to be uploaded. So,
This is.
yeah, this is not. the
So
correct
we
policy.
will move that to the August meeting then.
Yeah,
Okay. All
I
right.
apologize.
So then we'll move on to the 2025-2026 second reading of the TI student
Yes,
handbook.
this one should be correct.
We haven't had any changes since the last reading, so it should be pretty smooth, but just general updates. The only thing I would draw attention to is I could now add in who my replacement is, which I didn't do in this.
Do you have a replacement?
So is that okay if I do?
There is no replacement for Pat, let's be clear.
So I was gonna wait till we got to Pat's report, but since Pat mentioned it, we have hired the new executive director of the
Oh.
Technical Institute. His name
That is Lee.
Yeah. Sadly, no. His name is Kevin Lazaro. He has a very long history in vocational education. He's coming to us as, his most recent position was co-op coordinator at Assabet Valley, but he has both a lot of vocational school experience as well as healthcare industry experience. So he's got a nice balance of real world and educational world. So, well, he starts on Tuesday.
I'm sorry.
Oh, well.
Yes. So,
But could I add him in? It's not in.
yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then the other piece is that that new policy that we talked about, academic integrity and code of conduct, had a first reading at the last meeting. It's in here, so I'm hoping that will come as the second reading of that policy as well.
Yes.
But other than that, nothing different from the last meeting.
All right. Any questions for Pat? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the second reading of the 25-26 STI handbook as proposed by the director of TI and superintendent.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Ayes have it, 10-0, thank you. Now we'll move on to new business. And A, vote for Deb.
So the next three votes, Madam Chair, are annual votes that we take
Yeah.
just in case, but we have never had to actually.
Yeah, I've been here going on my 16th year. We've never had to have the treasurer borrow in anticipation. A lot of this came back years ago. Chapter 70 was quarterly. Now it's monthly, so that gives us better cash flow every month. But this just gives the treasurer the authority to, if something did come up for the need, she'd be able to borrow in anticipation as a short-term loan. Need payroll or any accounts payable responsibilities that we have.
And these are required by our auditor, right?
Correct.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Move to authorize the district,
Hang on, sorry, I was trying to blow it. There we go.
For old people.
move to authorize the district treasurer under the provision of special law, chapter 489 of the Acts of 1983, and with the approval of the chair of the district committee, to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, and to issue a note or notes, therefore, payable in 1 year.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Not, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous, 10-0. Thank you. And then we need to do the same for a vote for encumbrance.
Yes, so this one we use every year at the end of the school year, because as you know, the school year ends fiscal year June 30th, so we'll have invoices coming in early July that still belong to the FY25 school year, so this allows us to pay those invoices with FY25 funds.
Move to authorize the encumbrance of unexpended appropriations such as encumbered funds for to be payment of commitments outstanding for June 30th, 2025 to be paid after June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Was that an aye, Robin?
Yes.
Okay. Ayes have it, 10-0. Thank you. And then the next one is another vote, vote for reclassification.
So again, this one we use as well throughout the audit process. If the auditors come in and they determine that something should be moved from one account to another, it allows them to reclassify it, and you'll get that in our audit report. But this allows the auditors and myself to go ahead and put that in place. And then once FY25 is closed, and we're into the FY26 school year.
I'll take a
All right,
motion.
sorry. Do I need to blow it up? It makes the screen do funky things. That's why I'm trying not to. It disappeared on me.
I can do it. Move to authorize the reclassification of certain charges to appropriations after warrant approval and reclassification to form a part of the permanent financial records of the district if it meets the recommendation of the auditors as suggested.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion or questions? All right, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 10-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
D, annual review of administrator salaries.
This will be quick, hopefully. All right, under district policy, the school committee is required to review administrator salaries at least once annually. Superintendent, assistant superintendent, obviously the superintendent's salary is subject to negotiation. The assistant superintendent, I'm not suggesting any changes. The salary schedule for the assistant superintendent was last reviewed and updated by the school committee in FY24. The FY20, all the salary ranges in this presentation are this year and are exclusive of any COLA that may be coming up. 2 years ago, you realigned the assistant superintendent's salary to be identical to the principal and now the executive director of the TI, and I'm not suggesting any changes to that salary range. Building leaders, the high school principal, the executive director of the Technical Institute. The high school principal was reviewed as part of the hiring process in FY24 and again this year. It is a five-step salary range. I'm not suggesting any changes to that range. The executive director of the Technical Institute was recently updated by the school committee to align with the high school principal. I am not suggesting any changes to that. All right, I am not proposing any changes to the salary ranges for administrators in this position. Everything with the asterisks has an incumbent in it. The only vacancy we have right now is the Executive Director of Talent and Community Affairs. What I am suggesting is that for any person who is newly hired in one of these positions, that we move from a 5-step salary range to a 7-step salary range. And that will adjust step increases year over year to about 2.5% to 3% as the step, and that's exclusive of the COLA. So when that's combined with COLAs from the school committee, that should still offer strong salary progression for the administrators. And this would not impact anyone who was hired on a 5-step schedule. So they are still going to progress. Almost all of our administrators are at top step. So this isn't really going to impact only someone who's newly hired. It also allows a little more, the sense that you're growing with your salary over a longer period of time. So right now, after that 5th year, our administrators cap out and never get anything but a COLA. So just so you know what that looks like, the director salaries, so that's our vice principals, director of guidance, director of special ed. At that level, these are year-round positions. Same salary range, just split up into 7 steps instead of 5. For our academic and vocational supervisors, these are 193-day employees, so school year plus 10 days. Same salary range, just spread out over 7 steps instead of 5. Supervisor of athletics, this is also it's almost a year-round position. I think there's a couple extra non-work weeks in there. Same salary range, spread out over 7 steps instead of 5. Facilities engineer, no changes. That's already a 9-step schedule, and the range, I have no changes to the range. Supervisor of maintenance, conferences, and events, it's an 8-step schedule. Again, no changes to the range. So that is my suggestions for administrator salaries. So for most people, this would not have any impact on them. It would just be folks who are newly hired.
I just have a question. So for people who are on the 5th step,
all they get is a COLA.
But so would we just say, like, for managerial purposes, that they're on the 7th step because they're equivalent financially, right?
We could.
Or does that not matter?
Yeah, I mean,
matters.
we could, just to make it cleaner.
Just like, I don't know if that's like weird in the contract. So I was just saying because it's the same salary. I don't know.
Yeah.
Any thoughts or questions for Holly?
I think there are only 2 administrators who aren't on top step. So.
I don't have any questions. I think we move to approve the administrative salary schedules.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? If not, let's bring it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 10-0. Okay. Now we're on to admissions policy.
So, in speaking with Mava's attorney, various other folks, we've been advised not to make any changes at this point or propose any changes to our admissions policy. There still is a legislative effort. It's getting to the last minute on this, but there still is a legislative effort to delay the implementation of the random admissions lottery. So at this point, my advice to the school committee is that we don't take any action unless that legislative action fails, and then we'll bring it to school committee at the August school committee retreat, which we have done traditionally anyway, to have a first reading of it, and then of course the full policy has to be reviewed and approved in open public meeting. So that is my suggestion right now.
Did you go to Worcester today? Was it today?
Yeah, but
I'll wait
till representative
he'll give us an update in a minute.
All right. Okay. Moving on to school physician.
So, our school physician retired after 40 years, 42 years, something like that. He was our school physician for Bristol, Plymouth, a few other folks. So I would like the school committee, we've reached out and made some tentative connections with Middleborough Pediatrics, and they have agreed to be the school physician at BP. They've told us they'd be willing to be our school physician also. So what I just need is the school committee to authorize me to work with them. The typical fee for that is about $2,200 a year. So it's lowball. They sign off on orders and things that the nurses themselves can't sign off on. Every school district has to have a physician, but there's not a lot of heavy lifting that goes along with it.
So we need a vote on this.
Yes, the school committee
Okay.
needs to vote to allow me to work with Middleborough Pediatrics.
Move to allow Holly to work with Middleborough Pediatrics, was that right? To work to find a new school physician.
Thank you.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? If not, then.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
We don't have to put something like that out to bid, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's under the dollar amount.
I just want to make sure, because I'm like,
It's exempt
all right.
because things like that, you don't have to.
Yeah, that's just-
Doctors, lawyers, you don't
right,
have to.
okay.
Yeah, but that's a good question.
All right. Any more questions? Let's vote.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 10-0. Thank you.
The AI wants to vote.
Yes.
That was clear.
All right, moving on to G, COLA for non-federation employees.
So normally, we vote for the COLA for the non-federation employees after we've negotiated a contract with the teachers. We're not there yet, but the new fiscal year starts
Right.
July 1st for our non-federation employees, and that includes our year-round facility staff, our year-round hourly clerical staff, our year-round professional staff, our year-round administrators, and those folks who are here and working. So,
It's
so I am recommending that the school committee approve a 3% cost of living adjustment for all non-federation employees starting July 1st.
Okay. Any questions for Holly around this?
Motion for the COLA of 3% for non-federation employees.
Second.
All right. Any further yes,
I do have a
question?
How would that impact their COLAs? So, assuming that a contract gets settled, the next July 1st, could we put them back on the same COLA as everybody else? Like, is that how that would work?
Yeah, you can, absolutely.
So this is
like
just for
we
this one?
don't. You have traditionally given the non-federation
Right.
employees the same COLA as the teachers, but you're not
don't have to.
required to.
Okay.
This was budgeted. This was the COLA we budgeted for non-federation employees for this
So
year.
this is just for this one?
It's
and
for
then we
this
can-
1 year.
Okay, I don't know, I
Yeah,
thought it was
it's an
nice that we
annual.
kind of keep
Yeah,
it
it's an
together.
annual vote.
We don't want to hold their COLA up.
That's right.
That's the goal is not to hold their COLA
Yes,
up.
no, I totally
Yeah.
understand that. I didn't know if we were screwing something up.
No,
by doing
it's
that.
you vote annually on the
So it
COLA for
doesn't matter. Okay,
non-federation.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Any other questions for Holly?
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
We did have a second. Yep, Jerson.
me, myself, or Barbara.
It was a race.
Double second. Your Barbara. All right, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 10-0.
Okay.
Thank you.
H says treasurer auditor votes, but we already took those.
Yep. We're gonna skip I. And we'll,
End of year data for teacher retention is just not finalized. I didn't want to give you incomplete data. I will tell you that it looks pretty good.
so it'll be presented at the next
Yes.
meeting, which will be the retreat. Okay, now J, can you believe it? We are talking about the MASC conference to be held this November.
Oh my goodness.
Scheduled in Hyannis from Wednesday, November 12th through Friday, November 14th, 2025.
It's definitely Hyannis?
Yeah.
The last year.
Oh, okay.
Next year it'll probably be Danvers.
Danvers.
Whoa. Wow.
The place has been full.
Yeah. That's, I thought it was this year. Okay.
So as in previous years, we need to send an official delegate and also choose an alternate delegate for the conference.
I nominate Robin.
Shot across the
I don't
bow.
know if I can do it this year. I'm not positive, but it's going to be whoever is the delegate, it's very light. I went to the resolutions clinic last night, and there's only one new resolution. It's about body mass index. They want to take it out of the schools.
Body index?
Body
The
mass
BMI.
index.
The BMI. Oh, the BMI.
Oh, the
Yeah, for the health
BMI.
screenings.
And they feel like it's not really
I've
something
been
the
shamed,
schools need
so.
to do.
Yeah.
By you.
Anybody?
I'm in shape. Round is the shape. It's all right.
The other resolutions are all renewing ones that were voted in 22 because they expire after 3 years, so it's just a revote. And they all
Right.
passed in 22, they'll pass this time.
So someone should do it. It's a lot of fun. I did it last time.
It'll be short, and it's gonna be Friday afternoon.
Jerson, are you offering?
No, I mean I'm given the opportunity.
I
I
see.
thought we were going to do a
I see.
placeholder for Robin.
Well, are we doing a placeholder for Robin?
Robin, and who's going to back her
Yeah,
up as the
yep.
alternate, excuse me. I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I guess my question is, do you have to go Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday?
No.
Because I just don't think I can, like, I could probably take a personal day on Friday, but like, I don't know that I could.
Right.
So, you know, I could like go mid-afternoon Thursday. Nobody else wants to do it, I can try to figure it
No,
out.
we're going to send the doctor as the alternate. Okay.
Are you going to come in with your?
Oh, we need motions. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
we do. So we actually need a motion and a vote.
No, but first is the motion for the delegate.
Go for it. Yep, go ahead.
Motion to nominate Robin Zoll as a mask official delegate.
Second.
All right. Further discussion? Vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. Thank you, Robin. Then we have,
I don't know if I can.
well, and that's why we have an
I
alternate.
have a problem. I have to arrange.
And we have an alternate, so let's.
Kay is an alternate.
All right. Would you like to make the motion, Mr. Montero?
Sure. We'd like to nominate Dr. Sousa, or Souza, to the mask as a mask alternate delegate.
Can I second my second?
Yeah.
Great! Yeah!
I love it. I love it.
Great. Any further
Absolutely.
discussion? Let's vote. All those in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Opposed?
Yes.
Abstentions? Yes. Ayes have it.
That's fine.
You can
Thank you
nominate
so
yourself
much.
for chair.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Not a definitely.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay. Now moving on to the report of committees and administrators. I will keep it very short. Just a reminder to everyone, there is a special school committee meeting in executive session tomorrow at 5 p.m. And that's for the full committee. Monday is the TILPN graduation. I know we all love attending that ceremony. It's really sweet. And that is at 6 p.m. in the gym, not at the SPAC. And I want to just make a presentation to our executive director of the Technical Institute, whose last meeting is today, I believe, with us. So I just wanted to present you with two things on behalf of the school committee. First is we had to make sure that you got your acronym.
You got it.
So we'll bring that with you.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes.
And then we want to
All month I've only been pulling that out, you know, to, like, people are like, you know, I am the executive.
We appreciate your service. You're going to be missed so much.
We need to get a picture, please, don't
Yes.
you all? Yes.
I will let me find my name.
Great.
Actually, let me put this one so the screen's- You know what it is?
Thank you all very much. I'll take you that.
And that concludes my report.
Oh, we're gonna miss that. Good job. Oh, do we need, no, okay. Yeah.
Nope, no votes, no,
No.
yep, we're good. We're good
Liaison.
on the votes.
I vote
Next,
Pat can't retire.
can't get a second. And next up is our legislative liaison report, and quite a few things to report on.
Yeah, well, Holly already said that the lottery issue, the pause of the lottery is still in the Senate, and we won't know for sure. But I would like to ask Gerson, who was invited today to the Massachusetts Folk Tech Coalition, to talk about the pause. So,
Yeah, so we had a forum today in Worcester. It was at noon.
In person?
Yes. It was no, there was actually a good number of folks there in attendance. The panel was myself, Principal McCaskill from Brockton High School, former Lieutenant Governor Tim Murray, Tracy Stewart from Tri-County, and Aaron Lansky. Old Colony. Yeah. So we were the panelists, and there's 3 rounds of questions. We offered our opinion and what we believe, and then there was a Q&A session at the end. And also they didn't really go into a lot of details about what's the really next steps, but they did mention about the pause that we're in the bill that they're trying to implement. And obviously, as we know, the more we get the information out, the more we get our constituents to call. That kind of gets the ears perking a little bit, and they can hear. They'll listen to it a little bit more. And the other thing too is what they were talking about was also making this turn this into a little road show when we go around Massachusetts. But I think they'll talk about that in one of the meetings that we're going to be having. I think later on this week. So, but overall, it was great hearing some of the other point of views. There was a woman. I forgot where she was from. I think she's from. I don't know if it was around Springfield, but she was not very happy with us about not having a lottery, because too much funding comes our way, and we should fund more CTE programs in comprehensive high schools. And one of the things that I said was that that's fine, but I think this should be funded. There's plenty of money around this funding for everyone without us fighting over each other or fighting with each other over scraps. You know what I mean? But it was good being there and having the coalition, at least some of the members of the coalition, talk and say what we're trying to do and how we're trying to bring light to this idea of the a lottery as an admission policy. So, I hope that satisfies everyone. Obviously, if you have more questions, you can always reach out to me. And I'll connect you with some of the right folks. But Barbara is pretty well involved as well, and I know Robin is as well. So these are all folks that we can use to get some information if we need some more information.
right. And I'm in touch with Adam Scanlon, who will let me know whatever is going on. But he's the one with several other legislators from the House that put this bill in. Now it's in the Senate, and as you heard, they're deliberating, and there's no news yet. We just don't know. So that's why I think it's important for coalitions who do support the pause to make their voices heard, and I guess they'll listen, I'm hoping, to these things. So that's all we can do. I think everybody's worked on this in a very comprehensive way, and we're hoping for the best.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you.
I don't think we have any other reports except for the report of the administrators. And you're next.
So I wanted to follow up with the committee on graduation. So we had a lot of good feedback about graduation from the folks who got there on time, had a appropriate ticket. They overwhelmingly the feedback was that the venue was more conducive to our graduation, that the audio was better, that people were appreciative of having additional tickets for their students. And if you were sort of just doing the right thing, you probably had a really good experience. People who didn't have a good experience were our staff. There were, despite the fact that we expanded tickets to 7 per graduate, there were, and Mark can tell you, Mark Morris was one of the people assisting with ticket taking, that there were almost as many counterfeit tickets as there were real ones. And that folks continued to pour in until like 7:15, 7:30. Standing on the stage, we could see it happening. We could see that there were a lot of people just crowding around the entrance and standing in the back. Our staff were subject to verbal abuse, and it was very upsetting. People who normally do not get upset, or people who are pretty unflappable, reported feeling unsafe and feeling really, it was the low point of their year. They couldn't even come in and see any part of graduation because of it. The fire marshal eventually stepped in and shut the door so nobody else would come in. I think there's a lot to be learned from the experience and sort of expectations. I spoke to Mike Petrowski at Stonehill, who's really the person who connected us to the venue. About our expectations for assistance with crowd control, our expectations around traffic, having people to guide traffic, because I didn't think we solved a whole lot of problems, to be honest with you. I think traffic was still really bad. The ticketing situation was still a nightmare. And so, we've been meeting with, we met even this morning and talked about what are some of the options for us as we move forward to avoid some of this. I reached out to Brockton High School and asked them, what do you do, and they said our stadium seats over 10,000 people. We don't have to limit tickets. We don't have to worry about any of these things. People can come if they want to come. They have plenty of parking, so they just don't haven't experienced the same situation. I talked to member Goldstein and he said in Norton that they can use Xfinity Center. Norton and Mansfield can use Xfinity Center. We reached out to them. They won $45,000 for us to be there. But again, they don't have to limit tickets and things like that. We're getting very large to hold a graduation at any single venue, to be honest. And I think we need to start thinking about, and obviously we'd have to negotiate this with Teachers Union, about maybe adopting a higher education college model where we split it into 2 graduations with 200 students apiece, and then we could allow more tickets, more whatever. Teachers would still only have to come to 1, Heather. She's like, what? No, I think it's all things that we need, and certainly the Teachers Federation and our staff need to be involved in discussions about what we do. But obviously I was very disappointed in the behavior of certain guests, and it was a large enough number of guests that I can't say it was just a handful of people. It was quite a few people who just were very disrespectful to our staff and abusive to our staff, and I just don't think anybody should have to be subjected to that. They experienced it last year when we had our graduation here. That was part of the reason we wanted to move it to Stonehill, is we thought maybe we'd have a little more control over things there. But so we're disappointed by the behavior of some. But at the same time, I think many people had a very positive experience of the graduation. obviously there are things we do differently. It was the first time we had done it in that venue, and even while it was happening, I was like, oof, this is not working logistically, we have to get this fixed, we have, that's normal, right? That's normal, but, so, anyway, I did want to just give you an update on kind of where we are. And,
So are we still considering Stonehill next year, or are we gonna discuss it further?
it's still on the table. I have to have a more detailed conversation with the events staff there. Because I think what we expected to happen and what actually happened and the services that we thought were being provided and what were actually provided were very different in some ways. So if we were to do it there again, I would have to, we'd have to have much clearer sort of understandings about roles and responsibilities.
That's what was sold for the cost that we're paying. And then I guess my other question would be, is there any world where we go to a digital ticketing system?
So we talked about that, and they did that at Worcester Tech, and they still managed to create counterfeit tickets.
We almost gotta do it like voter rolls with names, with a list of names, but boy, that would take a long time to check people in, and that's not fun.
So if
You
we
need a
had
lot
it
of staff.
outside at their football field, would that have made a or wherever they hold theirs? Does that make
So
a difference in
they do
attendance?
their graduation, Mike Petrowski was telling me, on the big green. They don't do it in the football field, they do it on the big green at the school. You know, that could be an option. Then you have to worry about the weather.
Right.
They use a huge tent. Do they have a tent? No.
I really liked it inside. I thought that was very pleasurable, especially.
I thought it went off well enough, because I get there early enough and you can get right in.
Like I said, a
It's
lot
great.
of people had no idea that there was anything going on. But when we were sitting on the stage and I could look out and I could see people continuing to come in, and they were
Yes,
and
you
they were
did.
starting to
We
come
did.
up through the aisles between the graduates and everything, I was like, ooh, we've got a problem.
I went to the bathroom once they started giving out diplomas, and I was like, what? It was like a totally different experience.
Yeah.
How what was happening versus like being up front.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what is literally what is happening?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, and there are some easy fixes, right? Like, we've always roped off our graduate seating section here, and it wasn't roped off. That's an easy fix, right? And that would have done two things. It would have kept the guests from, you know, sort of edging up through in the middle of the aisle, but it also would have kept the graduates there, because what we had was students getting their diploma and leaving.
Yeah.
And it's not our expectation for student behavior, right? So,
Definitely busing students.
there were some very simple things we could do to fix some of what was going on. I don't know how we fix the ticketing.
And this, we gotta make sure that the teachers feel safe.
That's right.
All right, here's my next question. When we were giving out 4 tickets per student, and we knew they were doubling up on tickets, what was the average amount of tickets they were counterfeiting? Like, here's my thought process. If we still give out 4
It was nothing like this year.
So here's my thought process. If we still give out 4 tickets,
Yeah.
and then with the assumption knowing that we're going to have people coming in with or without a ticket, that extra space goes to those people. Not to those people directly, but now we have the space for the overflow when that happens. Or 5 tickets, and you know.
I did think to myself, like, and especially because I was like one of the people who I feel like the more the merrier, right? Like graduation is such an important moment for so many of our families, and I just feel like they should be able to have people there, but it's almost like we created a monster by saying that all these people could come, because then everybody brought 10 plus whatever.
Right, so
and it's like if everybody was limited to 2 tickets, which I would hate, I'm not suggesting that, but like if we limited everybody to 2 tickets, it really does keep it smaller, so then when people are counterfeiting, it's, you know, I don't know what the
Wait, that's
answer
just like
is,
that's my only thought process. Now, I'm on the opposite end where I don't think you need to invite everybody in your household to go, but like, no one wants to sit through a 2-hour graduation.
Yeah, I get that, but like a lot of people are, you know,
Yes, I get it.
That, and the more people you even have there, period. For me, like, I didn't see obviously what you saw because we were up front.
Yeah.
But it was the behavior of the parents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I damn near lost an eardrum.
Yes.
Like,
Oh my
with the
God, it's so
little
loud.
just screeching
Yeah.
of people creeping up to come get your picture. That was cool. Some of them were nice and very cool. But literally my ear, like, I
think my
I will say,
Right.
like
Let's
this,
go.
I've
Their behavior.
been here a long time, and that's pretty
Traditional, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I just was shocked.
that behavior's pretty typical.
I think my only
unfortunately.
suggestion to curb that would be, as the graduates walk around and get in line, you have a photo op group section for people to take pictures.
They
of.
can do it in a separate area.
Just before they walk on stage, yeah. Because that was a lot
I know
of.
people just wanna celebrate their students and it's hard.
Well, there were 3 people who managed to place themselves in the front, just about in front of us.
Right.
Between us and the graduates in the very front row, and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think those are easy problems to solve by creating, roped off sections and things that, I mean, I get it, people want to get a picture of their
Yeah,
their
it's just a big
student.
moment.
It's a big venue,
Behave yourselves. But we're taking pictures, we're having professional pictures taken, so why do they need to do this?
Because sometimes you don't get the link.
That's
Yeah.
family.
It's gotta go
It's
on
family,
Insta.
It's
and
family.
and I think
The photos don't bother
people
me.
have
I
different
just
ways
think
of
20 people
celebrating,
each
and we
is
have to
it's-
be open,
Yeah, a safety
open
issue.
to that.
No,
And it's not fair to the people if they were a few minutes late coming from somewhere that they didn't get in when they had a legitimate ticket, you know what I mean?
think,
Because
yeah.
people counterfeited and got in.
I think
before.
7 tickets is a lot of tickets to give to each student. I think that is a lot. And I'm not saying because they don't deserve it, I'm just saying that because if you give them 7, they're inviting 11. So if you give them 5, or they only get in by 8,
Yeah.
like I just don't know how that math.
But how do you
maths.
prepare when you have no idea?
And
Well,
parking
and
was
I
kinda
just think we
wild.
just
Really
have to
wild.
have, we just have to have some confidence that whoever is taking the tickets is going to feel safe.
Yeah.
And, and so at a minimum, I think we have to think about really what we want to do around ticket taking and security, right? I don't think I can ask our staff to put themselves in that position again next year.
Could you-
This is like
That
the,
was kind of the point of going to Stonehill.
Uh-huh.
Right,
Not.
exactly.
Could you get it to a point where you give tickets and parking passes out, so then at that gate where they have the arm, like I know there was a ton of cars and we can't go up and down in the arm,
Yeah.
but if they don't have a parking pass, then they can easily exit and leave, and then they could, if they do have a parking pass, they could go in and park. Because there were lots and lots of cars, and there was, I don't know if we picked every parking lot, but it looked like we did.
Surprisingly enough.
Even early, yeah.
So,
I think it was hard because you only had one entrance into Stonehill, the other one was closed.
right.
Well, I think that was
And,
never open
and
anymore.
so, and then they didn't have anybody directing traffic at that light.
Mm-mm.
So you had to rely on the kindness
yeah.
of strangers to let you take a left. And there was not a lot of that
Yeah.
going on.
And that wasn't, I mean, I got there early enough where that wasn't even a problem at that point, but I don't know, maybe with the if you have a parking pass, like, you could leave or you could go in. And then we just either have our staff or we have their officers that we're already using. to
They
enforce
weren't
it.
Well,
very
they weren't
helpful to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I didn't have to engage with any of them in that capacity, so I don't know.
I was just curious, what's the message conveyed to graduates prior to this? I mean,
We
we're all
had we had a meeting with all the graduates at Stonehill, did a rehearsal, we went over all the ground rules. And, and that's the one thing that Mr. Petrowski said when I spoke to him, is he said, I was there when you held the meeting. I know that you set the expectation for behavior.
Should we
So,
hand diplomas to them on the stage, real diplomas?
yeah.
Because we used to give them out after in the gym.
Yeah, and I actually am leaning towards that because one, we gave the wrong kid the wrong diploma at least twice. And, then it doesn't matter. You're not checking the name, you're just handing it out, they're crossing the stage.
Yeah.
They have to
Keeping it
stay-
moving.
They have to
They had to
stay for
stay.
the
Yeah,
keep it
entire
moving.
ceremony.
Yeah,
They
and
can't
they'd have to
leave
go back
after
into
they
the
get their
gym and then shut
graduation.
I like that.
Get it later.
Yeah.
Should we use a threat that they will not get their real diploma if they don't behave?
Well, I mean, we
Threat
can't
of
really
promise.
do that, but-
Here in Southeastern, we don't.
I don't believe in,
threaten.
I don't believe in
Check him.
threats.
Beat them
I
up
don't
mercifully.
We don't threaten.
Yeah,
I
we
would-
don't need
I would
threats.
tell
It
you-
keep them at it
Yeah.
keeps them through
It
the
keeps them
ceremony.
through the ceremony.
It keeps them at the ceremony.
And it keeps the ceremony moving faster.
It does.
Yeah.
It keeps them moving.
I will tell you this, that our students, by and large, when we tell them what the expectation is, they live up to the expectation. So for example, I told them that everybody had to have their gown zipped when they came on stage, that if they wanted to take pictures later with their gown unzipped and their cute outfit on or whatever, that was fine. But some outfits are not appropriate, whatever, and everybody has to have their gown zipped when they come on stage. I told them one time, every student had their gown zipped. Now, we were checking as they came through the line, but we didn't have any issues. Our students generally were pretty well behaved. It was some of their guests.
Do we send an expectation email out to parents and guests?
Yeah.
Well-
That's what I was really asking. When I
Yeah, I was
said,
wondering
do we have an
about that.
expectation meeting with the students, what I was referencing really was that, was it communicated to students that you are getting 7 tickets, and that is it, and that is the expectation, that you only bring 7 people with you, because this is all we can, the capacity issue.
And you're welcome, because prior it was
Correct.
And you're welcome. The
Yeah.
problem with that is though, lots of kids don't have control over their parents and what they
No, I
do.
get it. No, I understand.
I doubt it too many of our students counterfeiting tickets.
I mean,
No, yeah, I
I'm just
understand.
wondering if there's a way that we could send out an expectation email to the parents and caregivers that say, you know, you are getting increased tickets this year, these are our expectations, and this is why, because parents always want to know why, opposed to students who are like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
Or maybe even
becomes
just
our
restrict
street,
them and then
that's
say
why.
people can request them. I don't know. Request extras
Or, yeah.
and then just really have the expectation that we will give out extras to, I don't know.
Or we could do a restriction of you get 5 tickets and then first come, first serve after those 5
You could
tickets.
donate back tickets you don't need to like a pool.
They do
When
that.
the pool's
Yeah.
gone, the pool's gone.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
The students do
And
that.
guidance always has some extras and things, but.
Yeah, I just think.
Again, I mean, really,
Again, I think it's, you know, part of a bigger conversation, and as I said, when we need to have our teachers union, we need to have our staff, we need to have our administrators involved. And, you know, we have to decide whether or not we want to try Stonehill again, or if we want to do it here. If we think we can if we feel like we have more control over what we do here,
Right.
then
Yeah.
maybe we do.
So if we were to vote right now, I would say no for Stonehill. I would say to bring it back to this campus here and to do exactly what you're suggesting, having 2 graduations. I don't think we'll ever be able to control it at Stonehill without us hiring, quite frankly, I'm looking at your details.
Right.
I think you're gonna need details.
You're absolutely
because
right.
people are like really unsafe now, and well, they've been unsafe for a while, but you know, they're not respecting anyone anywhere almost, and it's not fair to the teachers or anyone else that is in that predicament. You may even go in the bathroom and get jumped. So I'm being really serious about this.
Absolutely. No, no.
I don't.
I know, I'm not for the 2 graduations
Yeah, I'm
just
not.
because
Well, just
the kids want to graduate with their
No, I
friends too,
get that
right?
too.
I get that, you know, that's a
Yeah, I
conversation we need to
understand
no.
have,
We
right?
need to have
I
the
mean,
conversation.
Yeah, the 2 graduations, having had 4 one year during COVID.
That was really hard.
It was ridiculous.
I would vote doing Stonehill again, but I agree, there needs to be some serious expectations set and
Public
what
safety.
the requirements are. And if we're paying for their police force who are already there all the time to be there, I don't understand why we can't use them to kind of enforce, or not even enforce, but guide in certain ways. But I didn't see anyone there.
Are there other facilities close by that have larger venues?
No.
So,
Just go to
Bridgewater have
Brockton.
anything that's larger?
Bridgewater has theirs at Gillette Stadium.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we contacted Gillette, and they don't do high school graduations, they will only do Bridgewater Stadium.
No wonder why.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're not invited.
But Bridgewater themselves does not have a large venue on campus? I don't know.
No, they
campus
just
well.
have
They have
they have a
football
tent
field,
and
but
they
it's
do it
not
at their
great.
grades too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this
Right
is
out on
definitely
the-
going to be a longer
Yeah, I think it is.
conversation.
I just, I kind of wanted to just bring you up to speed on where we are and let you know that we have to move.
Heather, did you want to say something?
We did do a survey with the Federation teachers, and so we can collate that and
Okay.
get that
Okay.
back to you.
All right, thank you.
Wow.
All right.
Thank you, Holly.
Yeah, so, and again, I don't want to put too much rain on the parade, because many people had a really great experience. And, we celebrated our students. It was our largest graduating class. There's a lot to celebrate, a lot to be happy about. But it's our job to make sure that things improve year over year, right? And that we learn from things that happen and do better. So,
And are we broadcasting the graduation still?
yeah, it was live streamed.
Yeah, so like that. I'm just super confused.
How much did it cost?
That's
That's one you guys have.
Exactly.
Thirty.
So that was nice.
How much more did it cost us?
Compared to having it here versus
About $18,000-$19,000.
About 20,000.
Yeah.
But if we have it here again, we've already talked about that, we'd have to increase it by about 8,000 because we would need to have details here too.
Right.
Correct.
So it was already gonna be an increased cost regardless, and I really,
And we just don't have
really
the
liked it
parking.
inside.
It was so loud though.
The air horns were really much.
So I think we'll revisit this.
Yeah.
But
a few tweaks, would probably be.
Larger
I don't see why we
conversation.
should have tried this another year, that is
I
all.
know, but I will tell you though that like I know several of you on your way out because you weren't experiencing the crazy out in the back. Were like, this is great. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh good.
I was wondering where everybody was going because I didn't park back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, where's everybody going? I'm like, thought there was food or something. And then I saw the cars and the lights. I'm like, oh my
Also, yeah, I
God.
would totally suggest staffing people parking on the 138 lot.
Oh.
That, like, I would talk to the
Yeah, I
school,
walked for 3 miles.
see if you could do that. for
Yeah.
the
And I was
staff.
there early.
Oh, yeah.
Two
Like
miles.
like keep handicap open in the back of the thing, but then do staffing everyone over at that, on the 138 dormitories that they have. Cause
The
it was.
benefits of riding a motorcycle.
He said all the
Jen,
parking's taken,
did it
so keep
anyway.
moving. I was
Yeah,
like,
that's what he said to me too.
keep moving. I said, okay.
All right, and then the only other thing I have is you know, we are on a summer schedule starting next week. This
Yeah.
week we're on our normal schedule because the TI is still in session. So we do allow our staff to flex 1 hour earlier or 1 hour later in the afternoon. So if you have any business that needs to be conducted with folks, just make sure that you call before you head over here to make sure that who you want to work with is going to be here. So they either have to work 6:30 to whatever the 8-hour period is. 2:30, or they can work 8:30 to whatever, 4:30. Thank you.
Welcome.
Math, not my, that's why I went to law school.
Gotcha.
Alrighty.
So next up is the acting principal's report. Is there a report?
I do not have a report.
Okay.
The acting principal and the vice principal are chaperoning the National Skills USA competition
In Atlanta.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
wrote words in the report.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is-
Accepted and filed.
So acting principal Guarini just thanked the school committee for a great year and for the gifts.
Wonderful.
Is she gonna be at our retreat so we can take her back?
Yes.
Come back and say.
Right, and then we have the executive director of the TI's report.
That's her right here.
That was good.
So yes, we had our regular graduation 2 weeks ago, and I think we had 64 graduates. It went very well. We sort of have space issues as well, and while we love doing it in the SPAC, it means we have to limit the tickets to 3 tickets a person, and we don't like to do that. So we've been moving to the gym, and they can just bring as many people as they want. And it was pretty well attended, and it went pretty well. And I managed to get it finished in the Dave-Egan limit of 1 hour. That's the mandate Dave gave me, the graduation needs to be longer than 1 hour. Did that, but it went very well, and the students were very excited. It's a big deal for them, so it's great. Monday night, we are graduating the practical nurses from the day program. We're graduating 32 of them. Which is great, because we have had retention issues. So this year, it's a little hard to calculate, because the evening students are still only halfway through their program, but right now, we have an 85% retention rate. And had very little to do with it, but last year, we had like a 37% retention rate. So huge increase. So they had, yesterday, they did the predictor test. Today, they had a job fair. We had 12 outside companies who came in to try to hire them. It was an interesting thing to see. It wasn't that the students were trying to sell themselves to the employers. The employers were like, we'd love you to come and work for us. They were selling hard. So that was really nice for the students were kind of like, no, I think I want to work here. So that was really great for them. And yesterday afternoon, we had an orientation for 41 new day students for the nursing program. Other programs are also going on, but the nurses are always a little bit ahead of everything else. That's what I would like to say. Thank you very much. pleasure. Try not to get choked up.
No.
But, I will say, I love my job. It's been a great experience, and that I love what we do here, and I really appreciate the support of the school committee. I have an opportunity, let me take a deep breath. I have the opportunity to speak to lots of other people in the state who have my position or something similar to it, and they don't often get the support from the school committee and the superintendent, the STI does. So you should give yourself a round of applause, because it makes my job and whoever takes this job afterwards makes it much easier because of what you do. So thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to add, I didn't even bother to write a report. I just had some notes. Hey,
That was your report.
years later, I don't even, I'm like, oh,
Thank you,
Deb's
Pat.
gonna call looking for that report, not ready. Okay. I said, do I need to do one? She says, what's she gonna do, fire you?
Oh, boy. All right, next, do we have a report for executive
I will
director
give an
of
update
Child
on where we
Community
are,
Affairs?
just with some HR. So we are actively still in the hiring process for the Executive Director of Talent and Community Affairs. I am working daily with our HR generalist, Savannah, who is quite capable and doing a very nice job to ensure that our postings are going out, that our job offers are going out, that we're onboarding people. We have a very active hiring season, as we normally do this time of year. And our search committees are actively meeting, and I am getting a constant stream of appointment memos. So we are securing high-quality staff. And I want to publicly thank Savannah Cardozo for really sort of stepping in and getting the job done right now while we're still looking for the director of that department. So that is all.
Okay. And at this time, I move to go into executive session according to Chapter 30A, Section 21, Paragraph A3, which is necessary to discuss strategy in respect to negotiations and litigation because an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and to not reconvene in open session to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
We need a roll call, right?
Yes.
Yes, we're waiting for the roll call.
Didn't have to read that.
Roll call vote. Jessica?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Yeah, it's executive session.
Andy?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All I need are members of the school committee.
Right. And we don't need a break. It should be pretty.
Yeah, everybody else is free to go.
Me?
Yes, well,
Am I a member of the committee?
thank you, Matt.
Some days I don't know.
Thank you.